studio chia Weru TV na rukiro rwari turenda kwitha tukiariria mantu ya economic na uchumi bwa Kenya ukilukira Mubango Jwa thirikari your bottom up economy na tukiariria mantu ya twenda kumenya ukilukira cooperatives kana iwanda na te Meru yithe ikigunika tharakanithi Embu na Kenya yonthe kwa jumla ni Mubango Jwa kujiri yo thirikari ukilukira Mubango Jwa better kana ukilukira cooperatives Meru yithe ikigunika atia kana Kenya yithe ikinyite talira na tena mibango iriku iriona of course President William Ruto na irigiri kwithira iki ya Meru muthenya rwari tuketho tukimenya ni bibia jirite na ni Mubango Jwa kwenda yo ria county je karibu sana kiri Mubango Jwa chanchamuka kiri Weru FM 96.4 turi live kuma Weru TV wonbeto Martin Wechungi ndula na rukiro rwari turi na PS wa cooperatives bwana Patrick KILEMI Kiburi karibu sana PS thank you very much no tubakuona kanya rwari kithie mu Meru no mwire ngwimbi yorita kiri thirikari
Ibo ya Martin beto wa Patrick Kiburi KILEMI thirikari ya William Samoei Ruto ni katibu kana principal secretary wa department ya cooperatives in the Ministry of Cooperatives na small and micro businesses MSME ngoye kwa day to day really ni kwa ile mata policy ile iko govern ile che ingabana sector yetu ya cooperatives na ko market ko promote development ya cooperatives then Kenya but kodini tu no betekele kueleze why cooperatives is important. Cooperatives is a philosophy. Cooperatives is guided by the 7 principles of cooperatives as declared by the International Cooperatives Alliance. Now, kwa ile lingi cooperatives in the United Nations, cooperatives is anchored under the International Labour Organization. Lakini ukaya kwa ile mnoki maendeleo ya dunia ya bangi na wanga yote wa Sustainable Development Goals. Ila chira after Millennium Development Goals kutoka to 2000 na ndiye kwa ile onete itera achieve Millennium Development Goals. The United Nations developed the Sustainable Development Goals. Ila chita SDGs na SDG 17 lakini kwa kweli SDG ila chionde chele kama manto ya dhina chantu in fact che ka categorize na manto yana people, planet, peace na prosperity. Those are the 4 categories ila cha Sustainable Development Goals. But kwa kweli Sustainable Development Goals you number 17 ifocus manto ya Korean to amwe how to aggregate people together to attain all the other goals. Na kile union and cooperative ile. So okay kwa elia why it is important to in their own nature by to interview kidogo. Lakini okay Korean to amwe they become a feasible economic unit. Na so okay to come back near home okay kwa ile the Africa Agenda 2063 it states again the importance of cooperatives to develop Africa. Na yenyewe yake is Africa ndio uko na eneo liko lakini ukinya Kenya unaona cooperatives has really been anchored ke history and to it goes back actually the cooperative mbele Kenya from 1908 cooperative ya area na ara Lumbo na ara Kericho. But as we speak today, we are going to cooperative area. I'm proud kuwa Meru ni watire manto ya cooperative area. Area retora Mount Kenya milk is now way ahead of Brookside. We are the biggest milk processor in the country, not just in the country, but actually in East and Central Africa. I'm not sure about South Africa, but I know we are competing with a cooperative in Morocco. Manto ya cooperative area. So waya ki Kenya ni ende toke yatu ya ki Kenya ki consequent administration kuma 1908 tukwa tohuru when Tom Mboya developed the first economic policy idea into cooperatives into the economic planning of this country. In fact, session paper number 10 of 1965 that was Africanizing the Kenyan economy. The model was the preferred model ya kuraia wetu together so that they can participate in the development of this country. And Nakumariu, we are in sectors which have really grown because of cooperatives. In 1960s, 70s, the coffee sector, we were #1 actually in Africa, not about cooperative. And I think the Meru community, the Rakani, the Embu, Mount Kenya region was the leaders in cooperatives. In fact, rumor said that Kuiro Muranga Union, they had the carry loan. Kumaki cooperative cha Muranga cha kawa. And so is tea. Where kwa ile mayani, ikundi bila mayani, bila the factories. They are all kind around the solidarity economy. Anto kuya kuatanira. So that is the importance of cooperative in economic development. But in this particular administration here, William Samoei Ruto, for 10 years, the Kenya tari na Ministry of Cooperatives. But in his wisdom, he borrowed from what Kibaki had. Kibaki and the Ministry of Cooperatives, Kenyatta and the Ministry of Cooperatives. For us to aggregate our economy, the bottom-up economic agenda in a 5 pillars. But those 5 pillars are anchored on what we call enablers. And just like the Sustainable Development Goals are anchored on an enabler called cooperative, so is the bottom-up economic, the better agenda. So about 2 years as a department, we enable the other pillars together, kubabanga. May it be in agriculture, may it be in housing, may it in yamanto yangu ya taifa kia. Watu tuja utakabanganto, want it becomes easier for the national government to progress agenda yayo. I think that's a good introduction to the cooperative.
Kabisa, perfect. Now, mbele katuambiri na SMEs. Thirikari ni Mubango yuko na department yuko ni Mubango yuko yinajua about SMEs because thirikari yukuma wathanine bairira Kenya ati betete wukiri antu babandi, and these are the SMEs na nibo berungu wako. So how far are we na wukiri ya biashara bani?
Thank you, Martin. One of the rallying cause ya thirikari ya rekulita kwa heshima alitingoiba tuba bafanya biashara kidogo. What in English to dignify aso yantu na ndokomanya kwa idea economy yetu as is now. Unfortunately, 60 years after independence, we have around 4 million people who are employed in pay slips. We estimate around 18 million Kenyans, 18 or 19 million Kenyans are out there in the informal sector. Now, it's critical that antoba 18 or 19 million bakabangwa. Either economic activities ikabangwa because it is important for development that everybody with we have all the hands on the deck. Eco developing they do. And so that was what I advised the president to and to buy 18 million or so. How can we arrange them into biashara? So let me say this. One of the key projects we started as a government manto, hustlers as we called them, I think was the hustler program, the hustler fund, which again has more than 25 million Kenyans in it. But more to that, we also have a lot of programs. One of the biggest challenges in biashara was marando kumaki bank, kana kumaki financial institutions, because in the state they are not feasible. 20%, it is between 15% to 25%. So the government has been very intentional in actually what we are calling a single-digit interest rate, what we call na 9%. But one of the biggest supporters actually by MSME is cooperatives and more so circles of financial institutions. But to put it in context, Martin, in Kenya today, we are calling the economy in Kenya, BHG Bank, national savings is around 5.5 trillion. But out of that 5.5 trillion, 30% in BHG Sako. So the cooperatives plays a critical role in mobilize national savings. But what stands out from cooperatives is okay kwa ile kimbe yetu tu dhani 1.3 1.4 trillion itu place the kuma members as savings. We have given out 95% out there to members as loans. That is called in economics, it's called financial intermediation. So we are intermediating at 95%. Now about the main loan, it's commonly known in Kenya that tukaromba becha kisa kwa interest 1% per month. Yeah. So in essence, it's 12% per month. So we are able to give loans at 12% on all the main loan products across. In fact, some circles are doing even better, are doing less than that. Yeah. So our contribution, you can understand, we are saying we have that percent of the national savings mobilized, but also we have given it out as loans, and more so to people who are in business. In fact, if you start, okay, if you dig a little bit down, okay, akona antu betu we get loan chetu cheza konetia. Antu hapa yiwe get loan yambere and development we kora antawaka, kawaka nyumba, kora ngari, na education fees cheko mediana. So cooperatives are really in our people's, we are the core of our households. Mantuendo yawa kubidia, we are there. Na okay, akona one of the easy growing product in the MSME. So to answer you, cooperatives have and most of circles have gone to that space. Yeah, you finance MSMEs. Na okay, akona so people are joining circles, not just like salaried people, but as people in business and are able to grow their business. And I want to quote a few examples. For example, the biggest circle in Kenya by membership is Unita Circle. Unita Circles as its catchment around Muranga, Kiambu na Nairobi. Lakini members ba Unita Circle tiantu wa mochara. Ni antu biashara ndogo ndogo na ni arimi. Over 400,000 members. Over 20 billion of deposits. Weyamiru, we call them community circles. Weyamiru, Weyanko, it is all over Miru, it's called the Yetu Circle. Yetu Circle, I think it has surpassed 18 billion in member deposit. Lakini members ba yombi, ni anto biashara ba nkobu, wa Miru yonde, arimiberia, arimiba kaowa, arimibambi, arimibonde. So people have come together to form community circles which are able to support their MSME. And that is where we are really very grateful that to a latitude in that space, we play our rightful role in supporting our smaller businesses.
So let's talk about taxes. Because some of them were able to mawoti ya TOT ni iyo baini ile bonene. So I don't know Kethori Mubango you could recare in a jo kuona biashara ba they are not kicked out of business non to bwa mawoti.
Kenya ntukuyondo kwa to wote antu bakajira kwa manto finance bill.
Yeah.
So let me just talk briefly on the finance bill 2025 and with the process of budgeting the new financial cycle 2025-2026. The president has been very clear that there are no new taxes. I think it's very clear say this. But as a finance bill, when with the budget, you get an opportunity to look back at how can you optimize the taxing regime which is there. What we are trying to do is that just like to contribute to the economy, most of our people who are out there to also to come in and help us build the nation. It is not enough to protect and to pay slip wake ito kwenda ntubangi participate na inyo karamara uitangoromeno kaile njirene. You see many brandos, many V8 na ndo wete ngari nene ira ti antu bamochara na ndo biashara lakini okore mtu wote bokuibwana wewe kwa mtu atibia tapi utiokutareta. So we are trying to have that clarity that you know every Kenyan has a responsibility because it is not in utiumba kuria we tax antu baba mshahara yake. No, you to went out one day, but we cast the net wide so that everybody participates. But also, what the president is saying is this: Ariwa taxi ya Kenya bakurita iba kwa na chiritango inachio ibo wana ngwere kurita, and that is why we are saying kwantu bakani mantaba kwa wale yaku see 1 term, see 2 term, three half time, immediate term. Tuina miaka ingia ile anusu. Let the president be judged. Na wewe ireke the aritete. Na nyatwari amantu ameru nyampa ameru benati. Na chuno there are specific problem chantu ameru badarakanithi bemu. The president is trying to address those problems specifically. Ya nawe tu mumetatigania. One barabara yako kuma Kenya weta meathene weta mikindori. The road is not good, and the president knows that. Uma kunene weta miomponi ukinya kagaino ta miomponi barabara eteboi. And the president says, I know this road needs to be done, and I'm grateful for the area MP, Dr. Mutunga, who has been really lobbying for this kind of things, and all the other MPs are kind of dedicated. I see them. Bakidi longo bini chama PSs bakura area antobeto, bakile, banjon po. I see our people putting effort. And I think we are seeing some progress in that particular area. I know, for example, Rahim, he keeps on talking about the dwelling of this road because we are all stuck up in traffic in Middletown every Friday, every Saturday. And I know it is top of the president to make sure that in this budget process, in this budget cycle, we got the necessary allocations to do this project because we are saying, let people see. No, seeing is also a sense. God is in His wisdom gave human beings 5 senses. It is not very wise kutumira sense yake kufikira. Also kutumira medo, all the other senses, because you know the fallacy of relying on only one sense.
You know, toka kwa area kidogo PS. I think the nani bora Kenya by timelines kana amero because boya nabuwa in 6 months, in 1 year, together three, okabarabara meadene, kianja 8, in 1 year, together to kudria barabara ya Sentani, Memponi. So I think aunyo, you know, people are nyoba older into account. At in 1 year, manto yake da yo karika na yata karika. So people might not really understand.
No, I agree with you. I think the president is really sympathizes with our problems. And is really overzealous in delivering. And I can tell you all the time the president makes a pronouncement. But to us, the leaders, the accounting officers, we get immediately a directive that the president has saying this or this needs to be done. Now when a president in directive, I make the necessary arrangement to seek financial support from the National Treasury. Sometimes you get it to headwinds. Because we are and so what I know is this: all the time the president makes a pronouncement, his intention is to make the lives of our people better by meeting them at their points of need. And we as executive, we try our best to ensure that the directive reach president, they are executed. Yes.
So nkomenya murimi okawa na terete sana kuibwa there's a time kwa na kuchania hata katika new KPCU in Meru Coffee Farmers Cooperative. So is this one resolved?
Let me say this. New KPCU is the government underwear for milling and marketing of coffee. No, you can try to say anything else, but the government agency is new KPCU. But KPCU draws its membership from all the unions, from the 33 coffee growing counties in this country. Dokumende baba yaba support KPCU. So KPCU ni area dhina. Sometimes back, that is why it has an end before the end. Not to KPCU under the condition ni area dhina, and at some point the mills were not working very well, and equally an arrangement where to KPCU they never. I know I didn't got into some kind of arrangement with KPCU, but when KPCU was re-established again, our mill in Meru is working very well, and so the other mills, and so I know that KPCU has been talking to the Meru farmers, so that we have 100%. My recommendation has been that 100% of our coffee is processed through the KPCU mills because they have the expertise ya kumil kawa. In fact, even across the country, we are saying let us develop our capacity so that arimi betu bakufocus ngoyo ekulima. But maybe to kwa jamanda kwa ringi matena kwere kawa, the coffee industry in the world. Coffee is the second most traded product in the world, second only to oil, estimated to be around $600 billion. No, okay, when kawa, why kawa is gives us people of Meru and people of Kenya an opportunity that kawa does not grow anywhere. Kawa grows within a certain altitude, which is around 1,500 meters above, above sea level, and we sit, we sit perfectly along the coffee growing. It's called the coffee growing belt of the world. It goes all the way to Brazil. Now, the economies of coffee, there is no profitable product. Cow, mayani, anything else which can give you as much money as coffee can give you per acre. And I really want to talk about this because in Komanya Meru, when Kawa got into trouble, Batu and Meru, again, we are very, we take action very quickly. But now my appeal is our people that let us look at the coffee industry because of the payment each year with the current season. The government has given first minimum guarantee return 80 shillings per kg. But what we are seeing, the market has passed us. Kirinyaga kuino kawa kariro 150 shillings per kg. 140 is all over, 130, no 120. That's a lot of money per kilo of sherry. Na Meru no bon the you can easily get 25, 30, even 50. Como kurungeto mutwiri mukarimu au mbonete unia meto, not far from here. In bush producing 50 kgs. Now kawa kariro to ande kawa. I want to do the mathematics briefly if you allow me, Martin. Okay, akwanda ikema kawa kwa kwanda ntukui okanda ruiro 11 kana whatever variety of plant. What is recommended. If you do the right spacing, you are planting between 500 to 550 bushes. Let us even for demonstration purposes two-way ukwanda kawa 500. Kawakara okay the kilo 25. Kinya to 20. That is only 10,000 kgs per harvest. But we made to imbati to kedaya ile mwaka. So we are saying you can easily harvest kumayeke kemwe 20,000 kilos of sherry at a very conserved rate of 20 kgs per bush. My brother, okay, I'm going to go per sherry. We are talking about you kuona 2 million shillings per year from my cave. 2 million shillings per acre. There is no other. Ukinyo kanda wakando chianatia, kana mayani anatia, utona million yearly. Na batu tukuwa inyo kaya all the way to Maua. As long as you are within the coffee growing belt. Kinya madabu ya mira. Inyo, for you to get 2 million from an acre of mira, you must be the only grower in the world. So we are telling even our people in the mira growing areas. You know, with the safari matin, with the Mombasa, lakini kebakio kuona ikia karibu na Naivasha, karibu na Nakuru, the first thing you need to do is to stop and ask yourself, am I in the wrong direction? Is the direction right and is the spin right? Because it is one thing kuriokuwa soko o nini. But ask yourself, maybe mrungu na kuwete other alternatives. What are these other alternatives? Tutukuwa mtu itembereki, lakini anda yake mwe makawa, anda yake mwe mira, aile madabu. Let the money come back chari ya uwe. Because beyond the bakwenda, imbecha mbukone. Jikareru to yugurete, you can becha mbukone. One of the ways of putting money in the pocket is through the coffee industry.
I know, I happened with a bumeta na huko ando amira na in my younger life kwa andikawa. But then non to manto ya karikire kawa kache maurian to ba itanga kawa ba andamira, and now factory mwera ya rilare ya kawa ne vandalize right now anto kinyawa kapa ku grab that land. So tukumia kwedrwa there is any plans maybe chia kuriukia kawa njire hu kuona kitaka kira kia rina factory ne vandalize renda there is nothing there anto kapa ku grab. Could there be any plan that could revive?
Martin, there is a national push to revive the entire coffee sector in the to Kenya. In fact, budget yetu ya 2024-2025 itoe 3 billion cha kumboost coffee share fund, but importantly ki supplementary tu itoe million 500 cha kura seedlings cha kawa. Ki budget ya 2025-2026 bado tusubmit the request ya 3 billion na 3 billion hicha modernize coffee factories and their city in the opportunity ya revive. In fact, in the next month itukubanga mechamanio iminene mno kawa Meru na tukijania na waziri wa Oparanya na the entire players bakawa na kuma KPCU tukijania CRI tukijania ndwa coffee directories kwa remanto akawa na tubetu but a lot has been going on. Okay, weta ki kwa mukuru ya mukarimu ngukurira kwa wena kibanda kya oturi ne antu all the way from Trans Nzoia to Omambi kwa kuthoma bo mukuru wa kubithia kawa kawe. So antu amiro tu opportunity nene muno because we have the know here hinya KPCU kwena sample farm wandu ba Uganda kawa but also because of where we are now kwa kweli the factories which were put up in the 1960s were basic water pumping stations. Tumela kainjini kanono geta lista karinga kawa. Now the technology has moved. We have eco pulpers. So we are going to organize our people again. Na to dikaiba support to the twina eco pulper. What we know is that better day factory chakawa they were near each other because there were no means of transport. Tukuyamti borengari, tukuyem boda. So even if we say every ward or every location has one pumping station in a coffee grow area, it will be sufficient to support that area. So I'll be taking keen interest in nini ngumanto ya Meru kona lare all the way Kaliatina Bumete. We revive those factories, but what we advise really the viability of those factories. It's our people eating our core at the Kwenabecha Kawene. Yeah.
Okay. Now ukuati you would wish kuona 100% ya kawa idhiro kiri new KPCU. Yes. Does that mean now cooperatives ya Meru Coffee cooperatives yukaikadhira kana?
No. All the national cooperatives. I mean all the county cooperatives. They take their coffee ends up at KPCU somehow. Because KPCU we have, for example, let me give you, I told you the KPCU is milling, warehousing and marketing. Yeah. KPCU in our warehouses, which sits on 55 acres in Dadora. Who else has that kind of facility? And also in charge of the kind of reforms we are doing in the coffee sector. You see now we have the DSS, which is being run by the Nairobi Coffee Exchange. We have the Sheriff Fund, which is also domiciled at KPCU, and DSS again is Cooperative Bank. So even if the infrastructure is set up around KPCU, because KPCU no insure collateral and DSS. So you cannot run, if you run away from KPCU, you are running away from the government support system for coffee farmers. Yeah. Yes.
So now, ukiwa murimiro urimaka wake akaendi kiri Meru coffee cooperatives atibatikwe na wasiwasi.
Atibatikwe na wasiwasi. Yeah. Na dengi nuche dena kawa. Dena kawa ti antu hanene. Ni antu hano no. For the long time to waka na dena. Wawete Nairobi no nasa sini kawa no kakora okolokela ukakuzi no nakawa ikora. Baraba ti dena na dena kawa because they know how to assess the market. Dena kawa ni murimiwe ka Yeah. So those are the people really we are focusing on and to have the small farmers.
Yeah. Yes. Is there a plan ya kudhiria wamba wakawa? Because for example, Amiru, after a few months, ukaibwa kawa kuyua ka konia tiano na yu milioni kadhaa iweta akarieba kuorowa. So if this one could be in your department, because ni manto ya cooperatives, kedra ni Mubango yuko yuyo, yadrikari ya kudhiria wamba wakawa.
Yes, it's a nderamutonge wamba wakawa is a good sign into vivi na value. And into kidogo tiyawa. Orego andu batiyampe. So what we have done is that we are working with the State Department of Interior. Yeah. Actually, okay, with the KPCU, our Sheto, we have a national police taking care of Kawa. So we are working with the national police under the State Department of Interior to ensure that there is armed police taking care of our coffee, especially during kawaika season. Na deka idara ke very attractive kriamba ni after processing, after pulping.
Yeah.
So we are working with the Interior Department, the Ministry of the Interior, to ensure that during that critical moment, we have armed security for our coffee. Yes.
So now, as we toyoka kudiridiri PS, President nejite Meru. Na yete Meru kuri na some disquiet. So first of all, yete ku launch compensation. Chia antobaraba urari tuni nyumoche kedaka. Some people might feel like, this is too small for our president.
No, really, there's nothing too small for a president. Let me say this: Nokumanya, for the last 10 years, because of the challenges we have had, to human wildlife conflict. Again, largely because of climate change, we have seen human sentiment na kwenda a lot of namenya kola. But for 10 years, I want to put this in context. For 10 years, there has never been any kind of compensation for the people who have suffered because of the injuries or the losses, property and human life.
10 years is a long time.
It's a long time. So that's why we need to really appreciate what this fifth president of the Republic is doing. Because these funds are always set aside for compensation. Our letters in these people, the families, to help them.
Yeah.
And also, Batu and to 8 Meru National Park. It's an opportunity for Meru County to market this park. In fact, the Meru National Park is one of the least utilized resources we have as a county. I was hearing some other Muzungu speaking about it, but why you can easily convert Meru National Park to a new Masai Mara. So it's an opportunity for us to show the president what we have, and we ask for support to convert that park to Masai Mara. Yes.
Na president ejite Meru Rwari, PS, kuri na research era with it ni company itwa Polytrack. Polytrack. Ronania president umaarufu bwake nibo wita sana. Meru eji. To what you think 12% was it? Yeah. Compared na utarero opposition wa utongere tueni Gachagua thai. So why do you think popularity president ni itabano?
You see, Martin, from where I see it, Mount Yaro ndakwenda to militam kule 2027. Kinyo kedo wina popularity 1,000 Rwari, that counts for nothing, because what we count is vote in 2027. And I think President Ruto is a political animal. He has been around for a while. Utumba kuadra we president with wote kumenya namba si ukubokwa. He knows how he spoke to us last time to Moringira Kola, and he knows what he needs to do. Me, what I hear him say, and I spend quite a lot of time with him. I want to Bamiro Bakwende Mandeleo. Now I want them to judge me with Ngwen Kabaritira. Katomwete miaka ili anusitero ketathire ngweu. Duto Kenya 2027. Mwante kuwerewe tuatumira the other senses. Tukanukira, tukailia. Then we njanje mtu atire vis-a-vis promises ira atuikire asindani. Me, I'm confident. I see, from where I see it, I see in 2026 kuma kerenja weta mekinde uri barabara kedena lami. Kuma kunene weta mimponi barabara lami. I see do arrange mutindo yo. I see delivery of the promises he make. Tato makera kerio akinya 8% tomoe akinya 90 tomoe. Antukuye na mtu mkono mwe amna ita Professor Kindeke ate kumama. I don't see why we should not be able to turn the tide. Yes, in 2027 it counts. But nendo emanto atupotura kanga bao dekanayo because those count for nothing at the moment.
So what magic ni magic ire kukane imunjiza yo kwa karinga yuro yutrario these are the half of the tongue.
You see, the only solution to the problems we have in this country is delivery. And also nobody called president, when government takes over, and I happen to have been appointed when they came in, there's a lot of fiscal realignment because of the priorities of the former government and this government. You really have to create space for your agenda, because governments are perpetual institutions. The other government made commitment, which this government is liable, is constitutionally liable to implement. So we needed that space to channel resources to the agenda, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And you see, as you go, then you realign. That is why now you saw, like when I was saying, there was some advertisement for new roads, which were done last week, but one, because that space, you are getting space now to focus resources. Commitment, promises. So let us just be patient. It's 2.5 years to go. Talking about 2027. Can't buy I have a lot of confidence that you should be able to deliver on the promises he made.
Yeah. So now, as you conclude, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki nedretu akiliunga sana ruterero Mount Kenya na particularly Meru. Meru I think nejite maitayana kana ya 5 in less than a month. Ruana arari na kintu areta economic empowerment. Economic empowerment eji kiri critics ba thirikari eji bari ona yaka ni Mubango Jwa kweria, you know, is like numana akohonga antu nontu ari ya batira mbecha na ibakuria mbecha icio ngwinyi ina ikuma bakiura si mbecha ina ikuma ibakuriara why would the government spend on such and yani ni Mubango yutina you know kumenya no wo kunenkira mbecha na mbecha ya eta utumirate.
Let me tell you, but I think Kimiro inya Kithure kiwa mugeni aje mwenyeji apone. When you see the president, I mean the president of the deputy president, nyatware oruecho na I mean actually on Saturday na rambe na mutunga rambe yantu boda bateria. I think it's African culture for people to come together and help each other, and especially the lower of the pyramid. And I know people ask in Ambeji Koma, and they are only we come together, we raise money. Even to talk about Arambe. So I think the most important thing is the government has there is a system for accountability, because as an accounting officer, I know how accountable we are for resources. Martin, it is not easy. You can bet there are mechanisms for which money is provided for. For example, if money is not provided in the budget, you cannot assess it. And the budget is a public document. You can see it. To see that we don't bet, you just imagine, you know, very basic thinking, but there are provisions to make sure that public resources are utilized in the best way for the interest of the people of Kenya. And
that is why mtu akuria tiri so nina deputy president omba kwithura akiri tambecha iji iyatumirite around 50 million in a month cha kuthiulunga ki arambe ne iji, because that cannot be salary.
No, let me say this, Martin. The government has mechanism to account for resources. So to be honest, to say that I know the net worth of Professor Kirigiti Korongo, but what I know of is generosity. And I also know the generosity of the president. Yes. So what to connect into the Korea? Me, I don't think we should say no. Igoro barari kabete. Ende bete kabete bagamir. I mean, just ask yourself. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Bueno, PS nkona dachetu wetamno. I want you to talk to people na obera Mubango yuko we na yo, especially amiro barapo tona dai. Mubango yuko we na yo ruterero cooperatives na SMEs.
Thank you so much, Martin, for this opportunity. And to Batubambe Rankobera, we are blessed with a very rich county. And a county at the Tinto Akabirere, Yamnomnoya and Toba and Detakoritangwe, very hardworking people. To say of what we can do, Yabrama Jirekuwa, Meru Union #1 county. The Meru Dairy Union, Mount Kenya Milk is the #1 processing plant, not in Kenya, not in East Africa, but also in Central Africa. I easily suspect that in Sub-Saharan Africa, it is the model which I think we can replicate across the country. We can also, other than the value chain, we have to area, we to value chain ya kawa, to ile ni value chain to Mayani. We are doing very well Mayani, na South Menti, Central Menti. We need to look at the Nyambene area and to kuna ya Mishimukuru. I hear people are complaining about the payment on bonus. Already and the bonus is the quality of the tea. How can you optimize? But more so, my appeal is that let every household have 3 or 4 value chains. Each over area. Me, as a principal secretary of state of the Department of Cooperative, then I would Governor Omero, Mutumanto Edingi, Excellency, my friend. We see how we can revive this economy of this county of ours. Nitenguena and Governor Modomi, we see what we can do for the Rakanidi. I work very closely and Governor Wembu, so that and to Bokeria Uchomi. I want to give an example. For example, Rwanda Rwetu in the northern grazing area, we have an opportunity to convert that area into a beef economy, just like Botswana has done, so that we become an exporter of beef to the Middle East and all across the region. What do we need to do that? To bode kudiatra mpango kudirikari yoyo to find lotting, so that tunurianga ampechetu. I think also spoken about coffee. We have huge potential manto akawa because the akawa katuka mirrors oteka watu inako. So I think to cut it short, Martin, is that I work with the governor. I'll act as a link to the Ministry of Cooperative and also the national government. Nanya manto na yange yonde Kenya, because as a PS I don't need an appointment to see another PS. Kede raimu na dine manto barabara akea unka mwatanjara mkeke PS or all the other miru leaders. We work together for the betterment, for the prosperity of our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, PS. Asante sana. Tunashukuru na tubakuona kanya kwa kwanza Mubiru Kirorwari. Thank you very much. Kato chokie kiri Wero FM 96.4 na by the way kuri kanditu Wero FM 96.4 nitukungwira myake 8 na together tuna mambo ya manene sana. Yara kietho akibwithika Terrace Club makutano na mbere ya utu ina road show tobanganite kwambiria auken tukwe Jumatano ile kietho yeta all the way moka Saturday together tukiliunga county ya Meru na county ya Tharaka Nithi yonde twetirima na we together na chena tukimenyana na of course tukwira mawe yato kubangirite mwaka yuyu ngiyo yite. Thank you very much. Ntubakwitha wina batu ni beto amachu ne chongo dola to carry na PS or cooperatives PS Patrick Kilemi. Asante.